And I'm going to play right now just a little snippet here of Derrick White talking about a potential contract extension coming up here at the beginning of the season. So let's sit back and let's let Greg get organized here.
Jokes aside, right? Jaylen Brown, he just got paid. Jason Tatum, he's due next season. You're eligible for an extension at the end of September. You're going to have a 3-week window, right, to negotiate that. Do you want to get a deal done before the season starts? Is that a goal of yours?
I love being here in Boston. It'd be cool to get an extension. We'll see what happens during that window, but I've loved my time in Boston so far, and my focus right now is just on the season.
Absolutely. It'll be your third season in Boston. You've been to the finals. You've been to the conference finals. And we've heard Jason Tatum.
All right. So we hear Derrick White talk about wanting to stay in Boston here. And of course, this is on the heels of the big JB max. JT got a max coming up. Porzingis just inked a 2-year extension. So to reset us here, Adam, Derrick White has this year and next year already locked in a contract. So this would start the following season. After that, I believe I read that the max extension based off his current deal would be about 3 years, $90 million. So that would be the max of what you're looking for. How are you feeling about Derrick White joining Kristaps Porzingis, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown is really kind of the solidified core 4 here going forward?
Oh, yeah, I'm all in. I think that Derrick White proved himself last year, both as an offensive talent and a defensive talent. He gets the ball out of his hands quickly, makes good reads, plays at pace, sees the game at a good speed. There's a clip going around on Twitter today with Steph Curry. I don't know if you've all seen it. Isaiah Thomas quote tweeted it, where Curry's discussing that 0.5 offensive mindset, and he's doing it in like a training camp with some kids. And he's like, look, you've got to think of the ball as a grenade, and you've got 1 second left on that ball until it explodes. If you can get the ball out of your hands in that first 0.5 second, then the dominoes start to fall. And you can see that Derrick White was trained in that type of mentality playing in San Antonio. I think that as the season went on, we started to see the best version of Derrick White that the NBA has probably seen. He's loved by the teammates. Everybody thinks he's a great player, a great person from everyone you hear speaking, all the reports you read. Plus, you tie someone down now, once the new CBA really kicks in, you've already got kind of the pie in front of you, and you know where you need to trim and where you can get under.
Yeah, my question would be, is this the only time that the Celtics can extend Derrick White in that small window in September, or can we extend him later this year or next year?
So I think at least until next offseason when the calendar resets, this sounds like, and I'd have to do more research on this. This sounds like it's just that 3-week window for whatever reason, nuances of different contracts. We got to get Keith Smith back in here if we're really going to kind of dig into that. But that's how I would infer, is that you have that 3-week window. If not, you table it. And then once the calendar flips over in June of next year, or July 1st, whatever date it is, then you might be able to reopen that discussion.
Okay, because if this is the only time in which you can extend him, if there isn't another window within his current contract, I feel like you kind of have to do it, right? Because if you let Derrick White get to unrestricted free agency as the cap continues to go up, right, there's a chance that he could earn more than $30 million a year in the open market, right? So you're betting on Derrick White living up to the length of that contract and being the player that we've seen him be. I mean, you just traded your heart and soul in Marcus Smart because you're betting on Derrick White to be able to fill that role and maybe do even more as, a younger, healthier version of Smart, being in his late 20s versus about to, be 30 years old. So I think for me, I would 100% sign up for a Derrick White extension if we can get that done. If the max, as if Will's reporting is correct, that it's 3 years, $90 million.
Don't take that as word. Do not take that as word.
To me, I think that's great. Real quick though, I was really, really, really distracted by that. Like whatever text was above there. I don't know what that was.
It's just the YouTube clip. I don't know. So for those of you listening on YouTube, or excuse me, watching on YouTube, you saw this as well. Listening, there was some type of captions that got all messed up, like auto-generated. I tried refreshing and getting rid of it. It's something with the ESPN clip. I couldn't get rid of it. I tried 2 or 3 different times to refresh. I also found it distracting, and I imagine with your coffee intake right now, it's probably even more distracting for you. But with Derrick White, I think, Greg, I think you brought up a good point, right? Like, I think if you can lock him in now before he gets to, and this is, of course, you're betting on last year being that Derrick White is going to be either that good or even better with a more amplified role, given that he's taking over that starting point guard role, as Joe Mazzulla said the other week. Like, it's definitive. Derrick White is the starting point guard of the Boston Celtics. And so if you're expecting him to maintain or exceed what he did last year, Fred VanVleet got $40 million. And that's without, the salary cap in 2 years from now is going to be potentially 10 to 20% higher than what it was. So, this is where you're starting to see potentially, and this is where I think it's going to get really interesting. I think some guys that we currently see as $20 million players, which I think fit all three Celtics guards, Marcus, Brogdon, and Derrick White, are all roughly, 18 to $22 million type guards. And it's roughly about a fair market deal for them right now. I think you're going to start to see that some are either going to get pushed up to 25, 30 plus. Others are maybe going to end up the Dennis Schroeder route where it's like, these guys are more, I'm more going to feel only comfortable with these guys at, 8 to 15 million or less. So they're going to get a bump down. It's going to be interesting to see which way each guy goes. I think Brogdon falls in this category, but maybe more of the Schroeder route, just given injury history and depending on reliability. And so I think with Derrick White, if you can lock him up for 3 years, 30, which doesn't start for another 2 years, potentially 30 million is the new 20 million. And that could turn into a really good deal long term. And then that would set him up with the Jays. Kristaps Porzingis actually only has 2 years left. So it's only 1 year within that new Derrick White contract that they would overlap. And then you have Rob Williams and Al Horford on really cheap deals over the next couple of years based on their productivity and availability to be starters in this league. And so I think it makes a lot of sense. And, I make the joke all the time. My Florists went out of business this past season, how much I talked about Derrick White, trying to give him flowers after every single game. So, I'm all in, especially now that he's one of my bald brethren over here. So, he had a hat on in the clip, but he did. Malika made him at the beginning of the interview show off that new Chrome Dome. So, of course, shout out to Derrick White for joining the crew.
All I know is that if bald Derrick White is the man, I'm cool with that. I mean, for me, when we're talking about contracts in the new 20 mil versus the new 30 mil, and you mentioned Fred VanVleet, I try and look at it contextually as well. Like the Raptors didn't need to keep anybody else sweet. They could afford to pay Fred VanVleet 40 mil, or no, sorry, it was the Rockets. Sorry,
the Rockets ended up for 40 mil. Away, yeah.
I was thinking of his last extension. The Rockets didn't need to really keep anybody sweet. They had a lot of cap space. They wanted their guy. They overpaid a little bit to make that happen. Derrick White seems very content in being with a contending team. Seems very happy in Boston. 30 million, even if that's not what he would get on the open market, is still a reasonable, like more than reasonable amount to be on, be the starting guard on a team that's going to be championship favorites, air quotes, for the next
championship contenders for sure. Yeah.
For 5 years minimum, 4 to 5 years, depending on health, obviously. I don't see him turning that down. I don't think that's a bad deal by any stretch. And as you said, as the cap continues to rise, it will just look better and better for Boston.
Yeah. So I think we're all in on Derrick White and this potentially being an option here for Derrick White to get an extension. We'd love to see him stick around as part of the Celtics core. Another news and note here from the Celtics I want to touch on quickly here. Danilo Gallinari, and I believe this came from an Italian podcast that he was on at Basket Universo. I want to make sure cite their sources here. And, our guy Gallo, who unfortunately obviously never suited up for the Celtics, did have this quote: "I can't wait to play against Boston. When the schedule will be unveiled, I'll put an X on the games we will play at Boston against the Celtics." Of course, famously, it was talked about after the Gallinari signing that was his favorite team growing up. So it's got to sting a little bit more that you get injured right before. And then, of course, you never actually suit up. But more importantly, what I want to know, and Greg, I'm going to go to you here on this one. Do you have any times that you felt either spiteful or felt the lust for revenge in a way that, it seems to be Gallo has at least got a little bit, maybe it was playful, but do you have any examples that you've ever had that happen to you?
Are you wait, you're asking me if I've ever felt spiteful, just like in general in my life?
Just if there's a time where you felt in the Gallo way, I want to come back against either this individual, this team, is there something that made you feel spiteful?
here, I mean, I don't know if you're trying to goad me into telling.
I had a feeling you thought that.
story.
I actually don't have a specific story, but I just figured it's more interesting than us talking about Danilo Gallinari coming back for a revenge game against a team he never actually played on.
No, definitely. It's definitely more interesting. Yeah, I mean, when I was a freshman in college, I was in a forced triple, right? So that means there's 3 people living in a room that's meant for 2. And I, at some point, got voted out of the room when we got the chance to D triple, where I was because of my like bathroom habits or whatever, I was the one that was voted to leave. And I remember being very angry at the time. And for whatever reason, I was holding a pair of scissors. I'm going to leave out some details here, but I was holding a pair of scissors. And I remember talking to my roommates and gesticulating, holding a pair of scissors. Where one of my roommates decided to take that as a threat, that I was threatening him with a pair of scissors when I wasn't. I was just talking, and I use my hands when I talk. So I got a message the next day from the dean of discipline at Boston College telling me that I threatened my roommate, who now feels unsafe with a sharp object, and I had to vacate the premises immediately. And I was like, whoa.
Adam, you thought you were the bully on this show.
I've never once accused myself of that, but thank you.
And anyways, I had to immediately find new housing. I ended up living with some sophomores. And I'm going to leave out the rest of the story because I don't think it's wise to put this out for public consumption. But let's just say I didn't feel great. I wanted revenge. And at some point, I got my revenge.
All right, we'll leave it at that. So you did have a moment,
but I didn't hurt anybody. Let me just throw that out. I didn't hurt anybody, but I got my revenge in a very Greg way. So we'll leave it at that.
How about you, Adam? I feel like you've definitely wanted to get revenge on somebody before.
Have you not seen my Twitter interactions?
I mean, you felt like the easiest segue. This is why I went to Greg first. I wanted to see what Greg came up with, but I figured yours would be.
You know what? I wear my heart on my sleeve, man. What you see is what you get. So sometimes I can get a little bit and I'm super passionate. And then when people are like, "This is just a game," I'm like, "For you, to me, this is like literally life. It's job. It's income." So I get a little riled sometimes. And then there are people who say stuff, and I'm like, "Dude, I'm gonna literally hawkeye your Twitter page until you say something egregious, and then I'm gonna swoop in and just crush."
Will and I kind of serve as Adam's cornermen for when he gets a little when he gets a little out of pocket out in the ring when he's swinging. He kind of abandons all principles out there and Twitter.
Gotta stick to the game plan.
Comes back to the corner, and we were like, "Hey, all right, I like what you're doing out there. I love the passion, but let's just tone it down just a little bit. Remember the game plan here. We want people to like us."
I
mean, I'm not that bad.
No. It's gotten a lot better, but we got your back on that. We got your back. Sometimes it's needed.
It's just passion, dude. Like I never mean it in a nasty way. I'm just always like, "Yo, this means a lot to me, so I'm gonna fight my corner because I'm pretty confident that you're just being a douche right now, and you know that what I'm saying at least has logic. You don't have to agree. Doesn't mean I'm right, but there's at least logic there because I've gave this a lot of fucking thought." And you're just being a douche, and now I'm offended, so now I have to fight back.
Yeah, every once in a while somebody's got to get checked, but we got to check you sometimes as well too.
Yeah, and I accept that. I've never bit back at it. I've always been like, you know what, you're right.
It's checks and balances. We all good here. I was thinking about this because I wanted to flip this question around. I feel like a cop out. I don't know. Like I feel like I've thought about revenge, but I never actually go seek out revenge. Like I think about it like in like a Costanza type way, like something that might happen on like a TV show for revenge, but I never actually do it. It's just like a fun thought exercise.
You've never like stole someone's shoelaces because they tried they trod on your new shoes. So
wait, what was this example?
Like, so when you buy new sneakers and then somebody like is a dick and they're like, "Oh, they're nice, they are," then they tread on them. Does that happen in the US?
I don't. Nah. Not to mind. Not that I know.
I mean, maybe in like middle school, but not as adults.
No, so that's like an adult thing as well here. So like, when you go visit, so you go visit someone's house, and like, you take your shoes off when you go into people's houses. If they don't have like flooring, they have carpet. You take your shoes off for courtesy. You just steal one of their shoelaces on the way out the door. Like it's little things like that.
That is like, it was a little bit more extreme than that, but that's basically the type of revenge that I got going back to my college story. I don't want people out there thinking that like I did some super criminal shit. But yeah.
Yeah, like now I've got two brand new shoes and one of them's dirty, and you've got two shoes that you wear every day, but only one of them has a lace. We're both inconvenienced and no one got hurt. It just seems fair.
Well, this is off-season content at its purest, folks. We are completely off the rails, but let's take a quick break and we'll try to redirect this thing here again. Give us 1 second. All right, trying to redirect this train here back into the basketball realm. We did have one other Boston Celtic note that we wanted to get to here, reported by Shams Charania of The Athletic here. The Boston Celtics waived on August 1st Justin Champagnie, opening up a roster spot, which right now, actually, I believe the Celtics have 2 open roster spots. Champagnie would have been guaranteed $50,000 as part of his deal if he were not waived by the August 1st deadline. So, Adam, I know you put this out on Twitter. You threw out the idea. Danny Green was recently on a podcast, and the host, who made the unfortunate mistake of saying that he was still on the Cleveland Cavaliers, of which that is not true. He is still a free agent. But you threw out that idea of Danny Green being one of these roster spots. And I know as we came on today, you were saying that you were getting a little bit of pushback from that, but make the case for Danny Green being one of these 2 roster spots.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to come out and really premise this. I didn't say that he should be. I just asked, would you want him? Like, just a question, just to, I was really wondering, because a year or 2 ago, it felt like most contending teams were climbing over themselves to get some Danny Green in their lives. I'm looking at it like you got 2 open roster spots, you got 1 open 2-way slot, and I'm like, Danny Green could fill one. Maybe you go Danny Green and Blake Griffin, and then you've got your vibes big man who can come in and bang and take some beatings when you need him to, and be Blake Griffin for another year, plus 1 boys represent. Yep. And then you've got that additional backup wing who's a veteran that's going to come in but isn't going to roadblock Jordan Walsh's opportunities or stop him from being able to get playing time. He's just going to give you a different look. He can play 2, he can play the 3. Is a 40% 3-point shooter for the entirety of his career, plays off ball well, can, you run a lot of flare actions for him, you're going to feel quite good about yourself. He's not going to give you great production, but I do think that everyone's looking at him last year with Memphis and then with Cleveland, where he was injured, didn't really get a good year in. Everyone's thinking he's washed. I still think there's something there if you run him just as a catch and shoot guy off flare screens and off pin downs. I think that's okay for a vet minimum. I don't know who else is there.
Yeah, I mean, the only other guy that I would have been interested in the similar mold is a guy who just actually signed with the Raptors, Garrett Temple. I've always liked Garrett Temple. I think him and Danny Green are like pretty similar players, especially at this point in their careers. Green coming off that injury not too long ago, so he's definitely on the way out of the NBA. I do think Danny Green as your 14th or 15th man you could do a lot worse than that. Like, you could have Champagnie still on the roster, and like, no shot at Champagnie, but he's not an NBA player in my opinion. So bringing in a veteran like Danny Green, I'm all for it. If you're expecting him to play real minutes, if like that's your pushback, I get it, but he's not going to play real minutes. He's not that guy anymore. But if you're bringing him in, as Adam said, very similar to what Blake Griffin was last year on this team, just a little bit more wing depth, I think it makes a lot of sense. So I'd be open to it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is the 14th and 15th roster spot. They're not supposed to get minutes. That's how an NBA roster works. So, Adam, like you mentioned Blake Griffin, I'm all for bringing Blake back for the vibes. I love the Blake Griffin experience. I had and I think Danny Green would be a very similar role, right? Where night to night, you're not expecting to see Danny Green. But the nights that Jaylen Brown's out or Jason Tatum's out, I'm not even saying Danny Green would start, but he's going to see the floor, right? That was a time where if Al was sitting out that back-to-back, Blake's either going to start or Blake was playing, 20, 25 minutes. I'm totally cool with that. I think that's a solid role for a guy like Danny Green. So I think Danny Green fits that. Just looking at even who's still available on the market, because the longer that this goes, there's not a lot of guys left out there that are really going to be rotation guys at this point. Adam, I saw you did a video the other day that's on our YouTube page here about Kelly Oubre. He's probably the only name that I really look at like, oh, that guy could actually play, but is he going to come for the minimum that we have? Probably not, but the longer the offseason goes, the more maybe he's looking for a chance to win and show his value on a contender, that it becomes a possibility. But he's really one of the only guys that I would look at as actually could be, a real rotation night to night type of guy. TJ Warren's second year coming back from an injury didn't have a great run with Phoenix last year, but that's a guy that I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on. I think he would be someone that, you're just kind of trying to feel it out. Will his injuries, get him back to a level that he can be a rotation guy? If Jordan Walsh isn't ready for minutes, if Sam Hauser, goes into a shooting slump and you need somebody else, like TJ Warren would be a good pickup. But, I think it's all those type of guys that we're looking at this point. And if we're looking at, let's just going back to the original question here, Danny Green and Blake Griffin, I'd be happy with that. 14, 15, some veteran guys, if they know their roles and they're, just kind of background support voices, I think there's nothing wrong with that. And, Greg, to your point, without taking shots at Justin Champagnie, I think both of them are better options than Justin Champagnie, at least for making an impact on this year's upcoming team.
Well, the name that you threw out there, I know, Adam, you put out a little short on this. Like Kelly Oubre is probably my preferred pick if there's someone that could actually be part of the rotation. I still think Oubre's got a lot of potential. He's had some big games where he lights it up from three. He's very inconsistent, but he's a crazy athlete. He's a pesky defender. He doesn't have great fundamentals as a defender, but when he locks in, just because he's such a good defender, he can definitely give some of the more athletic wings, at least give them a run for their money. He's had some games where he's played the J as well on the defensive end. And he seems like he'd be good for the vibes. He always seems like he's having a good time out there. He's got some great energy. It seems like whenever he goes up against the Celtics, there's always some good back and forth banter between him and the young guys on the Celtics roster. So it seems like there might be a little bit of a friendly relationship there, bringing him in for the vibes. And he's a good player. He's still young enough where Kelly Oubre could eventually pop at some point where you're like, oh damn, Kelly Oubre averaged 17 points a game this year. I didn't see that happening. But he has that talent. He was highly touted coming out of college.
Yeah, I think that the one thing holding Oubre back right now is he spent the majority of the season miscast offensively because LaMelo was injured, Gordon Hayward was in and out of the rotation, Bridges wasn't on the roster that year, last season. So then Oubre finds himself jacking up far too many shots for his skill set, and then he puts points on the board, but super inefficiently. And now there's questions about whether or not he is like a weapon offensively, or whether he needs that volume.
He also had fit issues when he played in Golden State for that 1 year, right? So I think that's the other concerning part for contending teams. Now, then again, the Warrior system is a whole different system. Like if you're not in tune with what they going on, see James Wiseman or any of their lottery picks, like you're either not going to be successful if you're out there, or you're not going to see the court. And that's not to say that Kelly Oubre, because that's where I think Kelly Oubre could be successful, just not in that system. That wasn't the system for Kelly Oubre, and so I think that's also hurting him. But I do wonder, where he's going to go, because that him along with Christian Wood are kind of the last two semi big names. And Greg, I know you're out on Christian Wood. Not that I think he fits with what
there's a Christian Wood video on the channel too. Go check out the Christian Wood video. Again, I don't think Christian Wood's the answer, but you have to at least talk about the guy when he's a starting level big man for certain teams in the NBA.
But my thing with Christian Wood, though, is why would you be bringing if we didn't sign Porzingis? I could see us talking ourselves into bringing in Wood because he's too talented to be at not getting minutes, right? And he's not going to play over Rob Williams, Al Horford, and Porzingis. So if you're bringing him onto the roster, you're bringing on someone who's going to be just super unhappy, and he's already a malcontent. So why that doesn't make any sense to me, bringing Christian Wood on. Talent alone, he's really talented on the offensive end. You watch some of his highlights, you're like, damn, why isn't this guy like a borderline all-star on the offensive end? He sucks on defense, doesn't play a lick of defense. But I just think because of his reputation as a horrible locker room guy and bringing him into a situation where he's probably not going to get a ton of minutes, it doesn't really make sense to me.
The analogy I use is when Christian Wood's on the floor, defensively, every offensive player becomes a lumberjack because they're just chopping down wood. That's my analogy. I mean, my outlook on it was you just stack the best amount of talent you can, and if you can bring in a Christian Wood on a vet minimum, you figure out the fit and the rotation later. You know, Luke Cornett would probably be the guy that suffered the most there. They'd probably move on from Cornett, waive him. But again, you are right. There would be fit issues. There would be personality clashes due to Wood wanting minutes that aren't available. But again, if you can get him on a vet min and then flip him before February for an asset that actually fits what you want, then maybe it's worth it in that sense. Sometimes I like to look at it as a business, but I don't own a business, so I don't really know how that works either.
Yeah, Christian, I don't know, man. With Christian Wood, I just leave feeling empty. Like every time I watch him play, it's like Karl Anthony Towns light. Like in the sense that Karl Anthony Towns is way more talented, but both of them I watch and I just don't feel like neither of them I walk away being like, yep, that was what we needed for the last part of a winning team.
Christian Wood has never made anybody else better.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Christian Wood is all about me. So like when you see him, you're like, oh, he's super freaking talented and like he's impressive. The stuff that he can do at 7 feet tall, but like he has not helped one person get better in his entire time on a basketball court, like not once. So I just don't see it with the guy. Like I like the Karl Towns comparison, Will, by calling him like the light version of Karl Towns, because it's kind of how I feel about Karl Towns too. But like he doesn't screen well. You know, he like doesn't know where to be on the court. When I see Christian Wood, it's like if he couldn't do it with Luka. You know what I mean? Like you want Christian Wood to be great in the role that he was expected to play with the Mavs, and he wasn't great in that role. So like, where is he going to fit in? Yeah, I didn't realize we were going to be so anti-Wood. Do you respect Wood?
We do not. We do not respect Wood on this program. Okay, last name I'll throw out there, and then we can move on. So I was just looking through who else was still available. This is a guy I've always really liked, been kind of sneaky under the radar. How would you guys feel about a little JTA, Juan Toscano Anderson?
I'm down. I'm all the way down. You need more Marcus Smart without Marcus Smart. That's all I'm saying. You need that grit and grind. JTA has shown that he can just be a plug and play guy that brings high level energy. You know, we've all seen him dive to the floor. We've all seen him
dive over a table in the Garden a couple years ago. He went flying into the second row.
I'm down. I think he's one of the more intriguing options, especially somebody that can come in, bring a little bit of size, a little bit of length, but just a ton of grit and really elevate that bench that bench rotations defensive upside. I think that's great. Vet minimum again, you're not really losing too much. Give me all the JTA.
Yeah, I think it would actually be really interesting to have him on the roster, just because I think early on in his career, Jordan Walsh would probably play a pretty similar role to what JTA does well, you know, just like being that defensive pest and bringing all of the energy. So if you put someone that is in the same mold as what you want Jordan Walsh to be, then you have him competing with someone that's a veteran, that's hungry, that's going to push him in training camp and push him for minutes and make him earn time on the court. That's where I see the value in JTA. I would not want him playing over Jordan Walsh, because I think I would just rather see the development of a rookie. But if for whatever reason, like the NBA minutes are too much for Jordan Walsh early in the season, he's like, oh, well, Jordan Walsh isn't ready right now. Send him to the G League and we have JTA that can just like do the same shit we want Jordan Walsh to do.
Yeah, little controlled chaos in there. Kind of just mix it up. Have a guy that can be pretty versatile in different lineups. So I like that fit. Brad, you've been given your orders here. Go bring us JTA here. He's going to mentor Walshy here into the next era. Let's take a quick break here and let's do a little trivia, boys. All right, so we're gonna have a little bit of fun here. We'll probably mix this up on a few episodes here over the next month and a half or so. While let's just be real, we're killing time. We're killing time until training camps get going. FIBA will start at the end of the month. That'll be fun to cover. Kristaps Porzingis will be involved. Al Horford, who Greg and Adam talked about in the last podcast, playing for the Dominican Republic, and of course Peyton Pritchard playing on the U.S. Select team, which is going to be training with the actual FIBA team. So I'm sure we'll have some topics to talk about there, but in the meantime, let's do a little bit of trivia. Greg, do you want to go? You sounded like your question, at least the way you prefaced it in our pre-show meeting, is going to lead to some discussion. So let's have you go first here, and then we'll go to Adam and myself.
Well, if you've ever been to a trivia night, I'm kind of basing this off of like the bonus round where you have to like you get a bunch of pictures and you have to like figure out what the title is or like who the main character in that movie was, right? So I have my question is like you have to come up with a bunch of answers for it, but I'm going to give you some hints that allow you to do that, if that makes sense. Okay. So what I'm asking y'all to do is to name, and I'll give you the years and I can give you a hint if you need a hint. Name all of the players post Dana Barros that wore number 11 for the Boston Celtics. Okay. So from 1995 to 2000, Dana Barros, who's my childhood hero, all-time favorite Celtic, was number 11. So I had a Dana Barros jersey. I love Dana Barros. Number 11 from that point on has been my favorite basketball number. So I just went with that. So we have a bunch of guys that have worn number 11.
What's the total number of guys?
I took one of them out because he only played like 2 games. So
I feel like I'm really hindered here
like
because for the
11.
majority of these years, League Pass didn't even fucking exist.
Just do your best. I'll give you the years. Okay, so 95 to 2000, it was Dana Barros. Then there's someone that has the number from 2000 to 2002. My first hint is he was a guard.
Milt Palacio?
No. Second hint, he played on the Bulls at one point.
Played on the Bulls. Wasn't Adrian Griffin, was it?
Third hint, initials RB.
RB.
Played on the Bulls.
All I can think of is Reggie Bullock.
Reggie Bullock. First name is the same name as Stan's dad on South Park.
It's a Randy.
So we got Randy Buford? No. Randy. Give us this one.
Okay, Randy Brown. Randy Brown.
Randy Brown. Okay,
for
I was
one.
not going to get that one.
Randy Brown. All right, 2002 to 2003, another guard, former UNC point guard.
Point guard. Ooh, you gave us a tough one.
2002 to 2003.
Yeah. So he would have been a rookie coming out of UNC.
All right, I was going to go Shammond Williams, but I know we didn't have.
No, it was Shammond Williams.
It was Shammond Williams? We had Shammond Williams as a rookie?
Well, maybe it wasn't his rookie year, but he was on the Celtics. Okay. 2003 to 2006, another guard.
This is Marcus Banks.
Marcus Banks. You got it. 2007 to 2011.
7 to 2.
What position?
Forward. Big forward.
Wasn't Courtney Lee, was it?
No. Too early.
Too early. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Glenn Davis. It wasn't
Glenn Davis. Yep. I gave you a hint.
There we go.
I said big forward.
That's
Okay.
what it put it in my head.
2007 to 2011 was Big Baby. 2011 to 2012. Let's just say he played with LeBron and he was a forward.
2011 to 2012.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Chris Humphries.
Nope.
No, he was 43.
He more like a wing. A better term is wing.
He was a wing.
Same first name as a hated Los Angeles Lakers shooting guard with long hair.
I feel like you're talking about Sasha Vujacic, but I don't know.
So that is the Lakers guy that we hated. So first name
Sasha Pavlovic.
That's right.
He was on the Celtics.
Yeah.
What the hell? I protest this. I don't remember that at all.
2012 to 2014. You've already said him.
Courtney Lee.
In 2014, a guy played a little bit on the Celtics. Point guard, bald-headed. This is a tough one. I'm just going to give you this one. Jared Bayless.
Okay, yeah, we weren't going to get that one.
2014 to 2016.
2014 to 2016. So this is right before Kyrie, right? Because Kyrie's the next answer.
Yes, Kyrie's the next answer.
Okay. So number 11, 2000. Avery Bradley was 0.
So
Isaiah Thomas was 4. Yeah.
What was Gerald Wallace? I think he was higher.
He was higher. You said this is a guard again?
Guard. Yep.
Okay. What was Phil Presley? That's too early. Too late. Too early.
He was a big time part of this team.
Big time part of this team. Evan Turner.
That's right. 2017 to 2019 was Kyrie Irving, as you said. 2019 and 2020. This
is Jason Tatum, right?
Jason Tatum.
Jaylen Brown.
No. Didn't Tatum wear 11? Maybe I think he might have wore 11 in summer league or something.
Okay, yeah, no, he was never number 11.
Oh, we did, yeah, because it was 7-11 for a while.
Wait, what is this year's again? 2019, 2020?
Yep.
This shows how little I care about fucking jersey numbers, dude.
Yeah,
I couldn't give a shit.
This is tougher than I thought it was going to be. 2019, 2020, number 11. Give me a hint.
Big America guy.
Enos Freedom.
Enos Freedom. And 2020 to present.
Oh God, I should know this. Why?
Who's number 11 on the Celtics? Adam
Again,
really.
I don't give a shit.
Adam doesn't give a fuck about numbers. Hilarious.
Number 11. Let me figure this out. This is ridiculous right now.
I'm opening my Canva.
Hold on.
That's not cheating because it's not Google.
See, it's not Malcolm. It's not Derrick. It's not Tatum. It's not Brown. It's not Rob. It's not Al. Who am I missing here? It's not Sam.
Is it Luke?
Oh, it's Peyton Pritchard.
Peyton Pritchard. There you go.
God
Peyton Pritchard.
damn, that took too long.
Just so everybody's aware.
I told you we were going to get at least 5 minutes of content out of that.
Just so everybody's aware, to me, the number on the back of the jersey means shit. All I care about is who's running what screen and did it fucking work.
Oh my God. All right. Well, that was way harder
really
than I
fun,
thought it
though.
was going to be. That was good. That was a good one. All right, girl. I'll give you that. I'll give you your
You got
props
props
on
for that,
one.
man. That was fun.
All right, Adam, you're up next.
Okay, mine was easy because I'm not a trivia guy, so I'm just like, shit, I don't want to. And then I got told it had to be answerable, so it's not like I could start pulling out fucking X's and O's questions left, right, and center. So, who was the first European player to represent the Celtics?
Ooh, first European player. Can you give us a time
Let me see.
period?
Is it? I'm going to assume it's early 90s.
And he's very tall.
Dino Raja?
There we go.
Okay.
And the only reason I said he's very tall is because when we were talking before we came on air, I kind of dropped the hint of because I was like, dude, I kept seeing different names, and I'm like, no, man, it's got to be Dino.
That's my thing. I was like, there's no way he would ask the question when we were just talking about this guy. So that's why I was like, I feel like it's Dino Raja, but then that would have been way too easy.
I mean, misdirection is a wonderful thing.
Oh man, Adam, you made that easy for us. Okay, yeah, I was more fooled by your pre-show, the way that you brought him up, that it threw me off. So that was, like you said, just a great misdirection. All right,
I've got another one.
You got another one?
Yeah,
All right, fire away. That was a quick one. Go for it.
Okay, I think this is right. So I've got an article in front of me. Bear with me. Okay, yeah, I think this is right. Can you name every player in Celtics history to have a 50-point game?
Ooh,
Okay.
on the Celtics?
Yeah, for the Celtics.
50
Okay,
points
so
for the
let's
Celtics.
get Tatum out of the way.
Okay,
Get
Tatum.
Paul Pierce out of the way. He only had one, but he had one.
Kyrie do it?
Kyrie. I'm pretty sure Kyrie had a 50-point game with the Celtic.
Okay, Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale,
Ray Allen.
Ray Allen.
Ray Allen did it in the playoffs. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if he did in the regular season, so I don't know if that counts or
He
not.
did it against the Bulls.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
50-point games. I'm just going through them at the same time, trying to make sure that I've got all of them on this list.
Antoine didn't, right?
Pretty sure Antoine didn't.
No,
I wish he did.
I don't think Antoine
think
got
he
to
did.
50. Anybody in the 90s that would have had it? Dana had 50, but for the
It was
Sixers.
for the Sixers. Yeah, he didn't have it for the Celtics.
There's one you're missing from like back in the day.
Is this like Tommy Heinsohn or
That era, but
Havlicek?
not Tommy.
Havlicek?
More underrated.
JoJo?
Similar rated. Do you want Sam Jones?
Sam Jones?
Yeah,
Okay,
I was gonna say one of the Joneses.
That's what I almost just said. I was like, it's got to be one of the Joneses at this point.
Is that it? That's everybody?
That's the ones on this
Well,
list.
and Jalen. We forgot about Jalen.
I thought you went Jason, Paul Pierce.
We
Larry
said Jason,
Bird,
but we didn't
Jalen.
say Jalen's got a 50-point game.
Yeah, he does have a 50-point game.
Oh, I thought his career high was 49 for some reason.
Nah, he got
50 points against the Orlando Magic on
Oh, that's right.
February
Yeah.
1st, 2022.
Sorry about that, JB. You got paid and we forgot, man. I'm sorry about that. But
Well, he
all
got
right,
paid,
we
so
got
it's
them all.
okay if we forget. He doesn't care what
That's
the
true.
fuck we
That's
say.
true.
You guys
and-
wrote them off so quickly. I was like skimming up and down the list, checking them
Wait,
off.
so
mentally, like, fucking hell.
Mikhail never did it?
Mikhail,
Mikhail
did it?
did.
You guys said Mikhail. He has
Oh, we did.
56-point game on the
Yeah.
3rd of March in
because that was that
1985.
thing where Larry Bird
He
Mikhail
had
scored
the record,
56,
and then Bird broke it like a week
yeah,
later.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's phenomenal.
Literally, it was 9 days later.
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable that Bird was just like, nah, I ain't let Mikhail have that record.
Oh no, it wasn't. It was 7 days later, and then Bird broke his own record 2 days after that. No, fucking, I'm talking shit. It was 10 days later, and then Bird broke it almost a year later after that. Yeah, Bird scored a lot of points. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, Bird's a legend. Bird's a legend. All right, let's go to a lesser legend with my question that we got here. All right, so 2004, 2005 Boston Celtics. This is the first year that Doc Rivers. I'm gonna give you some context here. This is the first year that Doc Rivers was the head coach of the Celtics. They went 45-37. They made the playoffs. They lost in the first round to the Indiana Pacers in 7 games, 4-3. Believe this might have been the Paul Pierce, Al Harrington clip where that comes from. I believe, not positive on that
I think
part.
we won that series against.
So yeah, because there was 2 series, so I'm not sure which one it came from.
Yeah.
But in that season, Paul Pierce led the Celtics, shooting 37% from 3 on 3.6 attempts per game. This player finished second on the team, shooting 36.4% from 3-point range on 2.8 attempts per game. Can you name that player?
Oh man,
What season?
2004, 2005, Boston Celtics.
damn. Is it too early for? Is it Rafe LaFrance?
You got it. I'm pumped.
Off the dome, dude.
Let's go. Let's go. That is a great pull. I honestly thought it was going to take way longer for you guys to get to Rafe LaFrance.
I know. I mean, Rafe LaFrance was like that. That was kind of like big news when the Celtics got Rafe LaFrance. He was like a pretty good player for a little bit in his career. You know, lefty.
I mean, we traded
stroke
Antoine for him, and then we traded back. This is the same year that we traded back for Antoine again. So I was hoping between, Antoine, obviously, this is a little past the Dana Barros era, but I was hoping maybe Delonte West was on the team at this time. Technically, Tony Allen led the team in 3-point percentage, but he shot 33, so I didn't count him.
Mm-hmm.
But, over 100 threes, it was Paul Pierce and Rafe LaFrance were the top 2 3-point shooters, followed by Delonte West. So that was good. Good pull.
I'm going to give myself Trivia King for the day.
You earned it, man. You earned
Trivia
it.
King.
I'll give
Had
you that.
no idea about the ludicrous discussion at the start, but you fucking ended strong, dude.
The coffee kicked in, man. The coffee was making his way through his system throughout the show. Greg ends up as the episode king.
The thing is, like, when you guys say ludicrous, I think of the song "Use a Hoe." It's like that's the only thing I can think of. It's like trying to turn a hoe into a housewife. Hoes don't act right.
Hoes tell everybody, even the mayor. That one.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's actually a really impressive song. How many times he uses the word "hoe" in different capacities? It's lyrically.
Hey ho,
underrated.
how you doing? Where you been? Probably doing.
Hey ho, how you doing?
Yeah, ho again.
All right, that's gonna do it for this episode of Green with Envy, as presented by Ludacris. As always, it's myself, Adam Taylor, Greg Manakis. We appreciate y'all joining us. Make sure that you are locked in to our YouTube channel so that you get this joyous energy that we got coming right now for y'all. Make sure that you are locked and subscribed. We get some quick hits coming your way on our YouTube channel. Make sure you are locked and loaded, as well as on Spotify, Apple, or wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Greg, any final thoughts? And then let us know what we're going to hear on the way out.
This is one of the last times you're going to hear this as our outro music, because Black Sheep Optimist has a new song releasing on August 11th that will eventually take the place of our most recent release, which was called Questions and Lies, and that's what you're going to hear right now. Peace, everybody.
Peace, y'all.